bought the president's counsel in the process. Many are celebrating all this as a massive victory for red-blooded American capitalism, with the smartest and most successful people finally let loose on an incompetent government. Others fret about cash for access and a punishing regime of inflationary tariffs on products for the poor and massive tax cuts for the rich. They include the millionaire comedian Bill Burr, who launched a blistering attack on billionaires in a podcast this week.
This is so the amount of people that are struggling out there because of these fucking billionaires. And they got us all arguing liberal.
You know, it's so funny. The amount of people who are struggling because of billionaires. I mean, you could also argue the amount of people who are prosperous because of billionaires. The amount of people who have jobs because of billionaires. It only kind of seems like you only want to point out the bad of what a billionaire is doing. I mean, like, let's be real. Every billionaire has a bad effect on an industry, but they also have a good effect on a certain industry. So you just can't sit here and get mad about the way capitalism or the way the economy works by saying, oh, it's these billionaires while all these people are broke. No, it's usually people's fault why they're broke.
And conservative. We got to stop doing that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about people going to bed worried about what's going to happen next week. There is so much fucking money in this country. And there's so much work being done, you know. And if you work a full fucking week at a job, you should be able to pay your fucking rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get another fucking job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country because then the kids don't see their parents and they're not getting the upbringing that they need. It's so fucking these fucking billionaires. They need to be.
Now, can we honestly say that it was mainly because women started working while that kind of happened? Like, people got to start working 2 jobs, and women are now out the house and all that good stuff.
Compounding factors.
Compounding factors. You're right. Because we also can say we also have more industries back here in America at that time too. Like, you could work that the auto plant, and that'd have been you and the whole fam.
Affordability wasn't even the same. Like, God, your career was working at the plant. Nowadays, that's a part-time job.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shoot, back in the day, they said people getting paid. Like, I mean, the equivalent to today's money was like $35 back in the day.
A livable wage.
Oh God, now
you can send your kid to college after working and retiring at the factory.
Yep. Now, due to the fact that the supply and workers have increased, went down the drain. It's tough, but it is what it is.
Be put down, you know, like fucking rabid dogs. They're like rabid with fucking greed and just going out and just dividing everybody. You know, just the fucking epitome of this time right now. Like how divisive we are.
And he goes on. It's a spectacular rant, I have to say, and it resonated a lot with people. So does this mean that we're facing the dawn of a winning new brand of economic populism or left? Should regular working voters be worried about a billionaire power grab, which is exactly what America voted for and what it needs? Would you let me debate all this? This is exciting, this double act. It's the one I never thought we'd ever be able to get in the studio. Legendary host of the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, and up against the author of the Sunday Times bestseller, #1 bestseller, The Trading Game, and host of the Gary's Economics podcast, Gary Stevenson. Well, welcome to both of you. Not natural bedfellows, but in a way, both have very strong views about this same issue, which reflect how people are split about this, right? I want to start with you, Gary. It's an incredible book. It's sold buckets of copies. #1 with the paperback. On the front, it says, an unforgettable story of greed, financial madness, and moral decay. Now, you went from a council estate, working class council estate in Ilford in Essex, sort of east of London for Americans. You rose to become Citibank's most profitable trader in the world, but you grew increasingly disgusted at what you saw as the blatant inequality of the system that you were gaming. You had a breakdown, and then you quit, and you're now an avid anti-inequality campaigner. You think there are fundamental changes required in the system, centered around redistribution of wealth and resource, or the whole thing will collapse. So, starting with you, how much did that resonate with you, what Bill Burr was saying?
Well, you know, I come from a poor background. I come from a poor background in East London. My friends and my family still live in that background. So, you know, these stories of mum skipping meals so the kids can eat, people not being able to put the heating on in the winter, that's common. That's really, really, and I think it's important that we say that in spaces like these, because now I exist in these media spaces, and I've been to these fancy universities, I've worked in the banks.
Yeah.
A lot of wealthy people don't see that's happening. You know, in this country, I'm talking to you right now, half the country struggles to simultaneously feed the kids and turn the heating on.
And shout out James Foley. He said it's been a while. Song request in the Discord. I paid my team. All right, G, we'll get it queued up for you, bro. No problem.
That's the truth. And I know it's getting that way in America as well. So of course it resonates with me, you know. Of course it resonates with me. The poverty is out of control.
I mean, Dave, the argument will be, well, I'll let you espouse the argument you want to espouse. But one of the big arguments, of course, is that what billionaires like Elon Musk have done, for example, is they build tremendous businesses which generate tremendous amount of jobs for people to then earn good money and do exactly what a lot of people here can't afford to do. So therefore, they can be a force for good, albeit obviously you're going to get bad apples. How do you see it?
Sure. Well, first, let me jump to the part that I agree with, which is that, of course, there is inequality. And would we all like to see poor people have more? And is it possible that some people have, quote unquote, too much? It's hard to agree what that might be, but I'm sympathetic to that argument for sure. And that's in my country, and that's across the pond right here. That's number one. The question really is the method that is going to free the most people and free the markets and allow people to flourish. I believe in free market capitalism. I want there to be as much competition as possible. I don't have a problem with billionaires because generally speaking, billionaires have built things. I mean, the idea that Elon Musk is devoting this amount of time to working for the government to help make sure that the government is more efficient is pretty spectacular. If I could jump back to the Bill Burr clip for just a moment, I know Bill a little bit. We've traveled in some of the same circles. I mean, he's surrounded by all millionaires. It used to be that Bernie Sanders was always complaining about millionaires. Then Bernie Sanders became a millionaire and he started complaining about billionaires. The idea.
That's what I'm saying. It do be the backwards talk. It's like, okay, so now you're a millionaire, you're trying to protect your assets. But when you wasn't, though, you was trying to get money from every billionaire's pocket. You were like, oh, they need to pay their fair share.
So, all right.
That's what I'm saying.
Perspective change. You got that bag and the perspective change.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you really shouldn't trust anything these liberals say when it comes to that type of money or this type of, the rich need to pay their fair share. Bro, the rich already paid more than taxes. They already paid an overwhelming amount in taxes. They're already paying their fair share. It's just our government is mishandling the money. Like, we're asking these people to pay their fair share, but we're not asking our government to make sure that the money is being handled appropriately.
Yeah, that if you just somehow magically took out, well, he also made a violent threat there, but let's put that aside for a moment. But if you somehow took these people out, or if you took 10 billionaires and you took all of Jeff Bezos' money and you took all of Peter Thiel's money and Mark Zuckerberg, et cetera, you took all of their money and you redistributed it throughout the system, that somehow 3 years later things would be better, I think is a completely faulty argument. There's
I mean, look, bro, if you gave away all of Bezos' money, look, I think you gave up half of Bezos' fortune and gave it to like damn near every American, right? You done split it up, gave it to a whole bunch of Americans. Bro, I say by the end of the month, all his money is going to go right back to him. Right back to him. I mean, that's how it works. Bro, we can give y'all money, but if you don't got the mindset of somebody who has an abundance amount of money, it's just going to go back to the same people who does have that mindset, who are making those sales, who do have the services that you need. It don't matter. They could be giving free handouts all day. You're just going to give it to the same people that you hate, which are the rich people.
More things as it pertains to education and teaching people proper value of money and what economics really is, that I think is way more important than just demonizing the billionaire class or any other class. Class warfare does not work and will ultimately lead to kind of what his bad joke was about, which was violence against these people.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. It's like the queue here. Gary?
I was a trader for a long time, and I worked with a much older trader. In the book, it's called JB. He had a good quote about these kinds of opinions. He said, opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. Now listen, I don't get paid to have opinions, okay? I was one of the best paid and most successful traders in the world, for one of the biggest banks in the world. I put bets. I place bets. And I've been betting for 14 years that the working class in my country and the working class in your country will collapse into desperate, worsening poverty year after year. I'm a multimillionaire from doing that, from betting on that. Traders message me every day. They say what's going to happen. I say it's going to get worse. I've been betting on it since the beginning of COVID. I've made millions on it. All the best traders know. Let me explain to you how economics works, all right? You guys work in media, all right? I work for Citibank. You call up Citibank and you say, I want an opinion on what's going to happen to the economy. They pay me £2 million a year. Do they give me the phone? No, they don't. Kids like me don't get the phone. We get the money, okay? I shouldn't be here. Doesn't make no sense for me to have a YouTube channel. Doesn't make no sense for me to be here. I got paid millions of dollars a year to bet on the collapse of your working class, okay?
I mean, bro, that does make sense. I mean, that's some pretty damn valuable information. I want to know where the economy is going. You're telling me you have the skill to have a forecast for that? Bro, you will be paid for, I ain't gonna lie, the quality of your service or how important your service is to somebody. And bro, that's a very important skill for multi-millionaires, people who handle a lot of money. So he's kind of underplaying himself to, I guess, feeding to his point.
And shout out, real quick, shout out to guest dude, $2. Guild Enterprise Socialism for the win. Goddamn. Oh, look. I don't know what you're going through, guest dude, but I hope hopefully gets figured out, bro. It will. Give it time, but we'd love to get you up here on the call. Yeah. But hopefully you're doing all right, man.
I walked away to come here on this show for free because I want to tell the public, the American people, this gets worse. This gets worse. I'm not just saying it, I'm betting on it.
No, I understand. Yeah. So explain what you mean. So when you say you've been betting on it.
Okay, right. So I started
explain to people who don't know the system.
I started working in 2008, which, as you all know, is the Lehman crisis.
Right.
The collapse of the economy. And my job
Too big to fail.
My job was betting on interest rates. As you know, in 2008, all the interest rates went to zero. Then my job is when will the interest rates come back up, which is kind of a proxy for when will the economy recover. I'll give you a history lesson on it, right? In 2008, everybody said 2009. In 2009, they said 2010. In 2010, they said 2011. Every single year up until 2020, they said rates will recover next year until 2020 when they finally said rates will stay zero forever. We're bad at this. We're bad at this, okay? I'm fucking good at this, all right? Why did interest rates not recover after 2008? Because people weren't spending money. Zero interest rates are supposed to get people spending. Why did zero interest rates not get people spending? I had the radical idea of going out and asking people, what do you think people say when I ask them, why aren't you spending more money? What do you think people say?
I don't have it.
They're not spending more money because they probably don't have more money.
Yeah. And when I looked at their financial situations, what I saw, this is in early 2010s, I was in my mid-20s. I saw a generation of people, my parents' generation, who owned property, and another generation of people, their kids, my generation, who will never own property. The middle class are losing their homes. The middle class are losing their wealth. Where is that wealth going? Where is that wealth?
And your argument is it's going just to the super rich.
Where else?
So they're getting. So Dave, I mean.
Well, I think it's important to make a distinction that first off, what's happening in your country and our country are not exactly the same, but largely over the last decade, until the last month, where we now have Donald Trump. Both of our countries have been going in the direction of more big government, more regulation, more of the middle management nonsense that Elon Musk is uncovering every day. So I would be for removing as much of that as possible, removing as much of the waste. I mean, we are now seeing with USAID and everything else that Elon is uncovering with Doge, that the amount of waste and absolute fraud, and I would say criminal negligence in the system is a huge root of it. So I agree.
Yeah.
So again, I agree with some of the symptoms you're talking about for sure. The question is the diagnosis. So how do you then say to the person that can't afford the house, how do you afford a house? Well, one way you might want to do it is I would, if I was in charge of your country or mine, I would lower taxes for everybody. I would do a flat tax for everybody. Make sure, so whether you're a billionaire or whether you make $100,000 or 75 grand, whatever it might be, you're going to pay whatever the number is. We can all agree on the number. Let's say it's 10%. The billionaire is still paying way more in taxes. But this type of class warfare that we've been caught up in, where the common phrase always is, well, they have to pay their fair share. Well, who decides what the fair share is? And guess what? Someone will always want more.
And that's the problem. Yeah, who does decide who the fair share is? Because it can't be the majority. It cannot. Like, the majority cannot tell the very small group of rich people what you can do with your money. That is not fair. Like, yes, we may live in a democracy, but I'm sorry, but we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. The whole point of a constitutional republic is so the majority cannot take advantage of minority and these people can have their individual rights. The problem is, though, that I don't think that, well, I'm just going to say, I don't think that the people who are less fortunate understands